Hello once again, this is Napoleon Bonaparte, your lung health advocate and MDRTB awareness champ. Yeah, today I really wanted us to dive into something different. I know most of the times we have talked about TB, but really I wanted to actually tell you that we have something quite funny, and this is what we call MDRTB. MDRTB, you guys, it's something which is so rare, and when it comes to actually even the health care, most of the nurses, most of the health workers, I think they are well conversant with the susceptible TB. But there's another type. What happens when one is taking those drugs for susceptible TB and they're not working out? So what happens, you actually develop what we call the mild drug resistant TB. So what is MDR-TB or mild drug resistant TB? This means that I, Napoleon, have been taking drugs of susceptible TB, or what most of the time is known as normal TB, but either because of poor adherence, or maybe I've not been taking my drugs as I was advised by a doctor or prescribing nurse, I develop resistance to these drugs. So what happens? The drugs will not work anymore, and what really happens, I develop a new strain and I end up having MDR-TB. So majorly, like I told you in the previous sessions, we have drugs which we use in TB management, and that is one, we use rifampicin, isoniazid, pyrazinamide, and ethambutol. So what happens in MDR? The resistance is majorly to rifampicin. So when drugs are failing, so one of the drugs which is so common is rifampicin. So once rifampicin resistance happens, so we push you or we change you to another regimen of treatment. And now this will be our MDR-TB regimen or treatment. Here we are going to see some kind of changes in terms of drug regimens. They are going to be different. This time you are not going to see the other rifampicin, then we are going to see isoniazid, pyrazinamide, and no. So we always have different types. But what happens before we initiate you to MDR? Uganda, the country, we have what we call a national panel, TB leprosy program panels, where you find members have to sit bi-weekly and discuss this patient or the resistance before you are initiated to treatment. Now, these are the drugs that we always use. We have what we call drugs which are used in short term. Short term, that is, the drugs are going to be used for 6 months. But in cases of any problem with any drugs in that category or class, what happens? We shift or we extend a treatment for 9 months. So that one we are trying to modify, then we call it modified shorter treatment regimen, which goes for 9 to 11 months. Then we also have a longer regimen, or we call it individualized regimen. That one can go for 18 to 24 months. So this means we have some really potent drugs which are failing, and it calls for us to extend the treatment for all that longer, as we do a lot of investigation to find out are we having more resistant to more drugs, because we do not want to risk and we give a shorter treatment, then you have a relapse. So we always want to take our time as we are doing a lot of investigations in regards to the heart, in regards to the liver function tests, kidneys, skin reactions, and all other adverse events or side effects of these drugs. But what is very important is we have to continuously do culture every month, so that we see if we have any conversion from a positive to a negative, or from a negative again to a positive, whereby we are going to be scared if you are having a negative conversion, again going to a culture conversion, out of the positive culture conversion. We do not really want to see that. It's kind of tricky. So MDR has got different types also. We have the pre-XDR, we have the XDR. So there are drugs we use in pre-XDR. Possibly we are looking at drugs like fluoroquinolones. Examples, we have levofloxacin, we have moxifloxacin, which are really actually failing. So that one is an indicator that anytime this patient could actually go for, could have XDR. So now it's tricky when it comes to XDR. XDR, we have drugs called bedaquiline, linezolid. So those drugs are really so important, very potent drugs. So if any of those drugs start to failing, this is quite absurd. It means we are actually going to XDR. So XDR means fluoroquinolones have so far had issues, they're failing. Then either linezolid or bedaquiline is also failing. It means we are heading to XDR. But remember, whatever we do, everything is done in consultation with our discussion of the patient. It is really a multidisciplinary approach kind of treatment. So it's kind of interesting that you really don't have to sit alone and you're like, okay, I have to take a decision alone. No. So we always discuss and we see how best we can help this patient. Of course, it's kind of tricky with these drugs. They have a lot of side effects. So all those aspects are looked into, and we really want to have very good treatment outcomes. So next time, maybe we are going to dive into different investigation that we do as we are doing our treatments in MDR. My takeaway home is, please, let's really try to do our best, and we make sure that we have good adherence, the treatment, so that we do not really have this kind of MDR. So to my respiratory nurses, the cardiothoracic nurses, I'm very grateful. The doctors and other nurses who are involved in TB management, I give you a distinction and salute you.